Hello, I'm RJ City, and you are listening to the MonsterCast. You're going to talk about Bela Lugosi. They're going to talk about Lon Chaney Jr. He'd be so sad holding his hat saying, please put me in this room and don't unlock the door. And you can't do any better than the Dahl brothers. Jack and Ryan, they're brothers, but they're also bros. What? Pardon? Wrestling. Well, who the hell wants to talk about wrestling? These are horror movies. It's a deep genre. It's a smart genre. Fantastic actors. Fantastic cinematography. Wrestling is just sweating and fireworks and bouncy ropes. There's nothing. So how do you talk about that every week? All right. Let's see them try. Take it away, you crazy dolls.
You.
Jesus fuck. Fuck my fucking ass. What the fuck? Please shut up.
No. Master Watto is a
shut
champion.
up.
You're gonna put some respect
Stop
on his
fucking
name
saying
now.
Master Watto on this fucking show.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Co-Champion.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Apple Fightful here. You're watching the MonsterCast with Jack and Ryan. A big shout out to those fellas. Good people. Check them out.
Oh my god, what is this?
It
Who
looks
is
like a
making
TV.
the New Japan titles? They need to stop making
It's like
titles.
a TV, bro. They took it too literally. That's the problem.
They should have just turned it into a TV. I would have been more impressed.
That would have been cooler.
Put some
Make
antennas
it-
on the top.
No, just make it like a digital title. Like you could display whatever you want on the digital.
Oh, like an
title.
LCD screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then have
That'd be
the
sick as
picture
fuck.
of the person that's the champ. That'd be so good.
Oh fuck.
That'd be worth it.
Wrestling podcast. How fucking original.
Jake and Brian. Brandon Cutler here from AEW, and I hope you guys have an awesome podcast with the MonsterCast. What was that? Your name is Jack and Ryan? Shut up, Jack and Ryan.
Tell me who you would sign first.
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
No, not overall, genius. Between the two goddamn examples I'm about to give you.
Master Wada.
Killer Cross or Dominic Dijakovic, who are you signing first?
Killer Cross. 100%.
What the fuck?
Absolutely.
Wrong! That
No,
answer is
I would.
wrong!
I would.
Oh
Killer Cross.
my god.
You don't know shit! Your opinions suck!
I guess I mean, you're welcome.
Fuck,
See,
I'll boo it.
but I don't think I've ever said boo.
I will.
That's so stupid.
I'll do it. Boo! Boo! You can't. Don't actually say the word because that's why it sounds weird. You gotta. It's like more like a note. Boo! You don't fucking actually say boo. Boo! 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 You don't turn it into a fucking chant. You actually have to.
I will. I'm gonna do that at Forbidden Door.
Just start a boo chant. Boo! 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 Boo!
Here's your host of the MonsterCast, the Straight Edge Monster Jack and Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Halloween, and welcome to the 30th full episode of this year. I'm the Straight Edge Monster Jack as Jushin Thunder Liger today. That over there is Ryan. And yeah, this is our 4th year doing the show and our first one doing it here on YouTube. We are very close to our 5th annual Monster Awards coming up in December. And also, before we get started here, for every new subscriber on YouTube for the month of October, we will be shaking the 8 ball that happens next week on the show. That will be happening, so we got a week left. So some of November, obviously, as well. I will shake the 8 ball and we will donate an item to the local Humane Society to help out cats, dogs, and the employees as much as we can. We are up to 159. That's 23 items right now. So subscribe now and you'll be helping out some animals at the same time. And it's free. So what do you have to lose? You get to watch 2 white dudes talk about professional wrestling. So who doesn't love that? That's like every podcast, right?
First of all, I identify as
Native American?
No, fuck
Oh.
no.
Oh,
I'm way
okay.
more like I understand that's
Oh, we're crackers.
genetically true. But no, I am
Genetically, we are Native American.
fucking
part Native
translucent,
American.
baby. Because I have not gone outside in forever.
I'm looking a lot more Native American right now than you are with this Liger mask on. I'll just let you know. The hair is not as thick and full as Liger's, but it works. As long as you guys, that is my hair. It didn't come with the mask, and it is signed by Liger too. So I don't like to wear this too often. I think I've worn it on the show before once. And I'm rocking the Liger shirt, obviously, to go with it. Speaking of, let's talk about my shoes today. I was going to wear my Captain America shoes. They are from fucking Reebok, I think. I think it's Reebok. No, Adidas. Adidas came out with a thing for the first Avengers, not in-game, but the first part of that. What the fuck was the first one called? Infinity War. All right, so they came out with this huge fucking, I think it was the first one. It might have been in-game. It was one of the two. It might have been in-game, where they did a cross-promotion with a bunch of Marvel shoes, and I went out and bought every single pair of Marvel shoes. Because that's when I had 2 jobs, and I could just do that. So, one of them was Thor, and that's what I'm wearing today. I couldn't find the Captain America ones in time because, I've got so many to go through. Here's the Thor ones. I believe these are Marquee Boosts, I believe is what they're called. But these are the Thor ones. They still match. Got the red, got black, it's got gray, silver, whatever. A little bit of yellow in there as well. These are the Thors. Last week when we talked about how comfortable the Kobe's were.
Yeah.
This is in the top 2. This is cloud, like a cloud foam shit on the bottom or some shit. This is top 1 or 2. These are very comfortable. Christina loves Thor but hates these shoes for some reason. I don't know why she hates them. It's even got the cool hammer. Oh, I actually didn't show that. I don't know if I can pick that up or not because it's shiny and metallic, but that's the Mjolnir hammer on the tongue. It's pretty sick too. But these are very fucking comfortable shoes. Very. Actually, most of the crossover ones were. I got the Dame Black Panthers, the Tracy McGrady, Nick Fury's, the Harden Iron Man's, and then whatever the hell the Captain America ones are called. But anyway, those are the shoes. I also picked up this sweet bad boy this week. This is the Samoa Joe Target exclusive figure. Got my hands on him finally. They had the tag up there last time I went to Target, but none of them were up there, so I don't know if they just didn't have them in yet because they had a shit ton of them in this time. So I made sure I got the best looking one, and then hopefully I don't drop it on the stone floor. And I also picked up another blaster box of AEW metal cards. They didn't have them in the actual card section, so I was pissed because I was like, oh man, they're not going to get them back in because they didn't even have the tag up for them anymore. When I went to go get check to see if they had the Samoa Joe figure, on one of the shelves, somebody had hid 2 boxes of this. So I only grabbed one of them, but one definitely felt heavier to me than the other, so we picked up the heavier one. So we'll see if it was just a security tag on the inside or if it's actually
like it's got more metal cards in it.
A cool card in there.
There's they used to do for some of the mystery minifigures or whatever, where because they are slightly different like that, people would go bring like weed scales in and just fucking weigh them to try to figure out what figure it was before they would grab it or bring it home or whatever.
Yeah, people weigh Pokemon packs all the time because the foil cards weigh more or whatever. So a lot of times on eBay, if you're buying an old set and you're spending $200 for a pack of cards, they will literally say unweighted, stuff like that, so that you think that you're getting something that was unweighted.
But if they know enough to know that that's a thing, though, and they're still selling it, goddamn well they've already weighed it.
Yeah, they definitely probably weighed it, but it's whatever. I don't fall for that, so I'm not worried about it. Speaking of cards, though, Christina's mom for my birthday, not only did she get me an actual Super Nintendo, because I don't have the actual Super Nintendo, I just got I've got the Super Boy, which you can play handheld or turn it into a Super Nintendo, which is very convenient. But it's nice to have the actual Super Nintendo as well. She got me a Super Nintendo, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about cards here. So I thought it was great because she went to another spot and picked me up the old wax Batman cards that were still in the pack. Yeah, I got like 8 packs of them or something like that. They were all still wrapped up, and I was like, "Yep, I want all of them." FaceTime me, is like, "Hey, do you know anything about these? Do you want these?" I was like, "Are they wrapped?" And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I want all of them, every single one of them that they have." So I think there was 8 of them in total. She was like, "You want the loose ones too?" I was like, "Nope, I just want the wrapped ones. You give a fuck about the loose ones." So that was cool too. It's been a crazy week for me with pickups. I also, it's over there, so I'm not gonna get up and get it. But I also got the there's a Creature from the Black Lagoon figure that I picked up from Target too that cost me like $35, and it is fucking sick. As soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, I was already mad at Christina because we kept walking around fucking Target, and I told her, let's get what the fuck I came in here for and get out. She got her Starbucks. I got my cards. I already didn't think I was gonna get the cards, so I was already mad because I got the Joe figure, right? I was like, okay, I saved some money. I saved $30 on the cards. Now I've got 3, so this is $90 sitting here. Because on the show, either last week or the week before, you know, we said that I picked up the 2 and I didn't know what I wanted to do with them. So now I've got 3 sitting there. Okay. So then I found 2 more packs or 2 more boxes, and I grabbed another box. So that's the $30 right there that I thought I saved myself that I didn't. The Samoa Joe figure is 20. Kept fucking walking around, and there's an end cap over there with more Samoa Joe figures on it, which actually ended up being good because the one I had a little ding on it. So there was another peg of them on an end cap, and that's when I started going through all of them and picked out the best looking one. But then at the bottom of that end cap, because it was just a random ass end cap of, I guess, new shit that they had in, was fucking like 4 Creature from the Black Lagoon figures. We sell the Universal Monster figures at where I work, but we haven't got the Creature from the Black Lagoon in. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I gotta get this because he's my favorite Universal Monster. Halloween time, all this stuff going on. So I grabbed that too.
So what are they selling that for? Is it just, it's Halloween, so here's the fucking monster? Like, are they doing a movie or something?
No, I highly doubt it. They've been talking about it. They've been talking about, well, the Mummy, that new Mummy movie that fucking bombed with Tom Cruise was supposed to be the start of the Universal Monster, like the rebranding of it, and they were gonna have like the kind of like what Marvel is doing and what DC can't ever seem to do with the crossover movies and shit. And it was supposed to be its own universe, the Monster Universe. But the Mummy bombed so hard that I guess they just scrapped the whole thing and either gonna try it again in a couple years and say that one never existed, like Days of Future Past, or I don't know how I don't know how they're gonna do that, but we'll see. There have been times in the movie industry where they were talking about doing an updated version of Creature from the Black Lagoon throughout the years, but it just never stuck or didn't make it through.
The problem is the story is just not very interesting.
I mean, if you look at, I just bought on Vudu, which is owned by Fandango now. If anyone that's completely, I've talked about this on Twitter on our Real MonsterCast, which you can follow us on X right there. You can see it at the bottom of my webcam. I've talked about this before. Like a lot of people bitching about all these streaming services raising their prices all the time, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. Netflix is about to raise it again, and they can't even produce any new fucking content, and they're going to raise it on you guys. So I've been expanding my Vudu library because you can just buy whatever the fuck you want. They have sales every week. Just go through their sales. Just go through their fucking $5 sales. Pick out a few movies that you like. Eventually, over time, you're going to build up enough of the library. The only thing that you have to worry about is then the streaming services that offer live sports or something like that, you know? Mm-hmm. That's the only ones you would have to worry about. So, like, eventually, I'm hoping to get to a point where I have Vudu, Peacock, and Your Sling, and that's it. And I don't need anything else. Because they'll have, I mean, they don't have a lot of stuff on there. They have a vast list of shit. But, like for instance, Wednesday on Netflix is still going on. So they're not going to sell that out to other people and let people use that to buy, right? But for instance, Rob Zombie's The Monsters is on there, even though that's a Netflix movie. So like, because Wednesday, like when Wednesday ends, that'll be available to be on there. Game of Thrones is on there. That's on HBO Max, yes. But do I want to pay $18 for? That's the only other one I would keep if AEW goes on it, by the way. So if AEW goes on there, obviously I'm keeping that too. But like Paramount Plus, I don't need any more once I get it to where I want to get it. But anyway, monster movies were on sale because it was Halloween, obviously. Shout out to anybody that's going out tonight because a lot of obviously the Halloween parties will be tonight. But I bought. I already had. Huh?
A lot of them were last night.
Yeah, that too. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Halloween. Halloween movies obviously were on sale for Vudu. Got all the old school monster movies for $5 a piece. I already had Creature from the Black Lagoon a long time ago, a couple years ago. I bought it on Vudu because, like I said, that's my favorite one. But I got Dracula, I got Mummy, I got Frankenstein, and I got Wolfman, all for $5 a piece. So I'm just missing Bride of Stein, and then there's like a few in between ones that I need, like Son of Frankenstein, I think, or whatever. That also got really good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. But if you go back to those old movies, it's going to be super hard to do. Even if you want to make a new expanded universe of those, it's going to be very hard because they got such good reviews in the 40s and 50s that it's almost like there's no way you can compete with that. Like, those movies still hold up even in black and white. Like, Frankenstein is really fucking good. Creature of Black Lagoon, I love that fucking movie. Love it.
I doubt they would try to keep the same continuity from shit from the 50s.
Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. I want that movie too. It's on there, but it's not $5 yet. I want it to be $5, but I heard that's one of their better movies. And I love Abbott and Costello. I think Abbott and Costello are way funnier than the Three Stooges, which a lot of people love Three Stooges, but I think Abbott and Costello are funnier. Anyway, that's our Halloween talk for the show.
Apparently.
Yeah, I guess that's. Well, speaking of Halloween, though, Halloween Havoc happened.
Yeah.
Happened, and let's go ahead and bring up the hot tag topics here.
Is Lexus King one of them?
No, actually. I mean, we can talk about it. Oh, you're getting covered up by the pup, and I'm not. All right. So anyway, didn't look at that, but it'll be all right. Anyway, so no, we can talk about it if you want, but my main thing is, let's throw it up there, is the Lyra Valkyria beating Becky Lynch, obviously, for the NXT Women's Championship, and we're going to discuss if that was the right choice right now. So we'll talk about that, and then if you want to get into something else from the show, we can talk about that. But this is the main thing I took from the show. I mean, I watched the show. It was a decent match. It was not as good as the Tiffany Stratton match, which is why I thought it was weird that she just dropped it to another face. I don't know. I won't say she's the wrong choice, but it doesn't really make any sense to make a lateral movement to a lesser known baby face that hasn't picked up any huge wins in NXT.
Yeah. They could be trying to do the hot shot kind of thing where you bring in somebody that doesn't really have that much going right now. They haven't really been doing that much with her, and just give her the big win to make her more important out of the jump. Like, that's
correct. Because like, who's your big face in the division?
Yeah.
Because Roxanne Perez hasn't done anything since she dropped the title. Indy Hartwell got injured and then got called up to the main roster simultaneously and had dropped the title. Who's the big faces in the division? Blair Davenport is in the middle of a thing with Gigi Dolan. So Gigi Dolan would be the face. She's being taken up, and then of course JC Jane is in a story with Thea Hale. So it's a good problem to have for NXT, for somebody that has a 1-2 hour show every fucking week and they don't even have a pay-per-view every month. For them to have that many women's storylines going on at the same time, it's pretty impressive. But I guess their hands were kind of tied with who they would be able to drop it to. But my problem is the two women that you have to drop it to, why wouldn't you drop it to the heel?
Yeah, I agree. It does just seem like, it almost seems like the main roster people got tired of Becky being down there and we're like, hey, figure something out. Like, we're about to use her for something again. That's sort of the vibe it gave me, because there wasn't really like a lot of story going into that match or enough to have her beat Becky. So that's, to me, it just feels like sort of a last minute change to pull her back up. So
the other thing, you're talking about hot shotting. I think the actual hot shot's probably going to come in with Jade Cargill, who's going to take it off of Lyra out the gate. And they didn't want to have her beat Becky because Becky's a main roster star. So instead of dropping it to Tiffany Stratton, which I still think they should have done, and then have Tiffany drop it at whatever the next pay-per-view is to Lyra, and then have Jade Cargill come in and take it off of Lyra, that would have made more sense to me than what they're doing. So Becky's just going to hand it off. It's basically like a quarterback handling a really good quarterback, like Aaron Rodgers, handing it off to or not Aaron Rodgers, because he actually has two really good quarterback or running backs right now. It would be like Tom Brady when he was playing. I can't name any of fucking Tom Brady's running backs off the top of my head. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, handing it off to somebody that no one really knows, and then them fumbling it right away. So she's gonna go in there, have a couple good matches about no one ever actually thinks she's gonna lose those matches, and then Jade just comes in and steamrolls her. That's what's gonna end up happening, right? Assuming that they put Jade on NXT, which I think they're going to do because of what happened on Halloween Havoc when she came out in her own chair.
But do you bring her in as a heel? Because that seems weird.
That's a great question. And I think they will, because everybody that she's having face-offs with have been faces.
Yeah, but I feel like the crowd is not going to be inclined to boo her right out of the gate, right? Like, why would you?
That's true, but they didn't do that with Samoa Joe or Kevin Owens either, and they still ended up hating them by the end of it.
I think
you just got to play the right angle at the end of the match. That's all you got to do.
I guess. I don't know. I don't like it.
I think it would be hilarious if they pull like a Razor Ramon 1-2-3 Kid situation where Jade comes in there, you think she's going to destroy somebody, and she gets rolled up and gets surprised and be like, "Nah, bitch, that shit ain't gonna work here." That'd be funny. I mean, they're not going to do that, but that would be hilarious to me.
That would be a
no. What would be great is you're not going to be like that. Would send the message, hey, she's not going to be fucking undefeated here, out the gate. But then you could have her go on a massive tear right after that, though. You get what I'm saying? Like that would piss her off to the point where like, okay, that shit's not happening again. And you could actually probably build her into an even bigger star out of that, because it would be a different story instead of her just coming in and doing like the Asuka thing where she's just beating everybody and undefeated at NXT. We already saw that story in AEW. Why would we want to see it over in WWE? So I actually don't mind that idea if they went with it. That would be kind of funny. And it would have to be something. It would have to be like the champion Lyra, obviously. So you come in, you lose to Lyra out the gate as she's the champion, and then you destroy her the next time type deal. Kind of like the Cody Rhodes Brody Lee type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Except backwards, I guess. Because Brody Lee destroyed Cody first, and then Cody came back and beat him. Yeah.
Or the way that Chad Gable is going to end up beating Gunther.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Who do you think they have taken off of him?
I'll talk about that a little bit later, actually, because it kind of ties into with one of the stories later. So we'll talk about that. Okay. All right. So we don't think Lyra is bad. We just don't know if she was the right choice to win it from Becky. Correct?
Yeah, it's not about her necessarily. It's just it didn't seem like there was a lot of build going into it, and it's so weirdly out of place that it's too transparent that something else is happening.
It was also weird because there was a lot of other people, because they were kind of doing the MJF storyline right they're doing right now, where all these people were trying to go after Becky and wanted the title shots and never got them because she dropped it. So you got Xia Li out there, you got Tegan Knox out there, Natalya was involved in that loosely through Tegan, of course. Then you got Jade was sitting out there watching the match and went face to face with Becky before, like a week before that, and you just drop it to Lyra, huh? Well,
we can't all be Orange Cassidy, so. Some people can only take on so many challengers.
All right. Now we can move on and talk about the rest of the show if you would like. If you would like to talk about the special edition chairs that all the wrestlers are getting now down in NXT, that I guess they're just converting all the Bray Wyatt chairs into. I don't know what's going on, or the Triple H thrones or whatever the fuck they're converting into these chairs. But Jade had her own huge black, like I was going to say like a Game of Thrones, but it wasn't Game of Thrones. It was more like a Beauty and the Beast type chair, but it was black. It was like just huge, like mansion type chair. And then of course you had the sliding out chair, the one that goes up and down the stairs for old people, but it will go straight across for for Brian Pillman Jr. or Lexis King.
King.
I'm friend of the show. Loves 50 Cent, but I'm not. Okay. I feel like he's in the. I'm not going to shit on Brian Pillman Jr. on the show. We already know he's been on the show. I think he's a good dude. I think he's just young and not really hip to the business yet.
He's what, 26 now?
Yeah. No, he's. I think he's older than that. Is he older than that? I'm pretty sure he's older than that. I want to say he's almost 30, if not 29.
Oh shit, he is 30.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, okay. But anyway,
is he young then for wrestling? When you have dudes coming in at fucking 18 now?
That's true, but you're also pushing a 40-year-old dude as LA Knight as like this big new phenomenon. So yes, 10 years younger than him.
Okay.
Yes. You also had Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura come up through NXT at old ass ages. So yes.
That's different.
Anyway, well, you're just saying are you asking me if he's considered young? I am saying yes.
But no. The difference with Shinsuke is that Shinsuke is like very accomplished beforehand. So I think that's a weird comparison.
I don't think it's a weird comparison because he should. The weird comparison would be why the fuck was Shinsuke ever in NXT to begin with?
Oh, we've asked that
I think
question before.
if Shinsuke and Samoa Joe can go to NXT at their ages and they wasted 2 years of their fucking careers down there, then I think yes, Brian Pillman Jr. is still considered young and he has plenty of time to get up to the main roster and do whatever. The problem with the Lexis King character, I think, is it reminds me of the old Legends of the Round Table episode where DDP was on there and he was talking about how he was like trying 18 gimmicks at once.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of.
He's
trying to be like the early DDP where he's chewing gum and smoking a cigar at the same time and's got diamonds and coming out to the ring in a car and has a catchphrase and has the hand signal.
He's like a circus guy, a gambling guy, a fucking carnival guy, a race car guy a little bit. Like there's a lot of weird shit going on. And a little hint of Tiger King. So like,
yeah, it's like Tiger King. He is a little bit like Tiger King. It's a little weird.
I don't know what it's supposed to be. And he doesn't.
What if they pull the Black Scorpion shit on where he comes out with a lion or the tiger in the cage or whatever? For one of his entrances.
I think what fucks with me about it is he looks like a guy dressing up as a guy. He doesn't look like that's the guy. If that makes sense. Like
no, he has. I mean, I think his look. He has the look of a wrestler, but his personality is not fitting that look.
That's what I mean. It looks like he's dressing. It looks like he's dressing up as a character, and not that he is the character.
Well, so I'm not saying he couldn't be that character or couldn't have that swag. He just doesn't have it right now.
Which hurts, though, right? Because like,
correct, it does hurt.
When we look at like, nobody's saying that about Roman Reigns. You could say that about big dog Roman Reigns like fucking 6 years ago or whatever, right? But when you look at Roman Reigns now, nobody's like, you're not so taken out of your suspension of disbelief like watching him talk or like watching him walk down to the ring or watching him.
Okay, so that I think the big dog Roman Reigns is more of a slight that should be held on the responsibility of Vince feeding the lines to the announcers, because he's really that same character as the tribal chief. It's just that they were trying to push him as a face with that character, and he should have been a heel that whole time because he came out, especially at the night after he beat Undertaker at WrestleMania, and he said, "This is my yard now," and he was still supposed to be a face, by the way, at that time. He was still the big dog at that time. He was coming off as a heel in those promos, but they were pushing him as a face, even though he was getting booed. So I think he's still pretty much that same character. They just changed it from big dog to tribal chief, and then of course he got the mouthpiece for Paul Heyman as well. Do you think that's
a little bit revisionist though, because he wasn't being booed because of the character work. He was being booed because of the pushing. So it's a little different.
No, I have no doubt in my mind that it was from both. I will say that it's also from the pushing, obviously, but he's still getting pushed that same way now too. So
it wasn't the pushing. Okay, maybe. I think the biggest problem when I look at like Lexis King, to get back on topic, is that.
Well, let me just ask you this about Roman right quick. When he was getting pushed to the moon as the babyface, big dog bullshit, and they're feeding that shit to us, and he's getting booed, right? Has any one person besides the Cody WrestleMania thing ever been like, oh, he should have dropped the title there. Roman needs to keep winning. That's not been the discourse since he's turned heel, which is why he should have been heel the whole time.
The McIntyre match, maybe.
Clash of the Castle, maybe, but I don't think they'll ever let him lose the title overseas. That's going to be in front of an American audience, yeah. Just because, well, maybe now because Vince isn't in charge anymore. Who knows what'll happen? But
the Sami Zayn match, the McIntyre match.
I mean, the Sami Zayn match because they were in Montreal. Those fans there, yes, for sure wanted it. I legit thought there was going to be a riot on our hands, but I knew going in that he wasn't winning it.
Yeah. I would just say that's one of those times where like they had the opportunity to strike while that was hot and didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not many times, but I can think of a couple. Yeah.
And it ain't gonna be hot enough for to pull the trigger on LA Knight in Saudi either. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Do you think that? Do you think that turns into another stupid fucking clusterfuck ending with a bunch of interference and boring shit? Because
It'll probably be something that's a launch pad for the Survivor Series match. A lot of people coming out there, and then like Bloodline versus whoever.
I think John Cena's in Survivor Series.
Yes, because John Cena's fighting Solo Sikoa at that show, I believe.
Oh, is he? I meant the Survivor Series team, but I didn't know he was actually having a singles match.
He's having a match at Saudi Arabia, yes, against Solo.
Oh, I thought you meant it was already booked for Survivor Series.
Oh, no, they haven't booked anything for Survivor Series. Nobody knows what the hell's going on for Survivor Series yet.
So yeah, maybe John Cena in Survivor Series. Might be his last one.
We'll see. All right, so go back to your Lexus King talk.
Yeah, it's like watching him play the character takes me out of my suspension of disbelief and it's not like because we talked to him, it's not because like I've seen him in AEW, it's none of that. It's just like even in a vacuum, if I were to watch him play that character, I'm too aware that he's playing a character. That's why it doesn't work for me, because he looks so out of place trying to play it. Like it's very clearly like a dude in a costume being a guy, and it's not just the guy.
I think it's weird because it's also the way that the character's been portrayed as, hey, I'm trying to get out of my dad's shadow, that you come out and you look exactly like your dad, though.
And then you keep talking about him. That's fucking weird. If your whole angle is like, yeah, I want to get out of my dad's shadow and be my own man, stop fucking bringing him up. Just do that
Can I
one
ask a
time.
question, though? Because the vignette that he had, which I thought was well done, I praised it on the show. But if you start thinking about it, it doesn't really make any sense either. Because the dialogue in it is, I was 4 years old when he passed away. I don't know him. So why are you in his shadow then?
Well, in the industry, he's still in his shadow.
But not really, though.
I mean, if he's named Brian Pillman Jr., you're never not going to associate him with what Brian Pillman did. Right?
Oh, that explains the name change. Yes, I agree. But that doesn't explain why you still act like him, dress like him, come out looking like him, do the same mannerisms as him.
That's just genetics.
Come on, man. But if he's just playing a wrestler and he doesn't go anything, why isn't he trying to do other moves that Brian Pillman Jr. never did, or Brian Pillman never did? Oh, by the way,
he might.
By the way, Lexus King, the guy I'm dressed up as right now, beat your dad's ass multiple times in WCW, baby. Let's fucking go, Liger.
That's true.
Jushin Thunder Liger. And fucking also he actually, I believe, when he was on our show, Brian Pillman Jr. said that he had a tag team match against Liger or with Liger or something like that too. So that was pretty cool. They never had a one-on-one, but they had a tag team match or something like that together.
I vaguely remember that.
That would have been really cool to have in AEW though. A lie.
Yeah, I mean,
it was always like the opening match too in WCW, and like everybody's like, what the hell's this? And then by the end of it, everybody's like, fucking like, holy shit, what was that? What that we just watched? That was crazy.
Well, 15-minute match early.
Yeah, 15-minute match that no one ever seen. And that's before Bischoff started getting the Rey Mysterios and Psychosis and shit like that too. So that was pretty fucking cool. All right. Let's move on to your favorite.
Master Wato.
CM Punk says no thank you to Impact Wrestling. And apparently they offered him a contract. He was backstage at Bound for Glory, which we talked about on the show last week. We talked about Bound for Glory and the review and them going back to TNA and stuff like that. But apparently they did offer to bring his services in, and he said no thank you. There is also rumors still that he'll show up in Chicago at Survivor Series, and now there's this groundswell, and I don't think anyone's really taking it seriously, but everybody's like, what if the devil was CM Punk the entire time in the AEW storyline? Which would be like the biggest swerve in wrestling history, I think, or up there, definitely in the top 3.
There's somebody else that got mentioned that I thought was interesting too, and I don't even remember who the fuck it was. Damn.
My issue with the Punk thing is I don't know who the 4th person would be. It would obviously be Punk and FTR beating up Jay White. But who would that fourth person be? There was actually 3 people beating him up, and then you go off to the side, and that's when the devil guy was.
One of them was clearly fucking Roderick Strong. He had the goddamn neck brace on underneath the mask.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. This shit is great. And the best thing about this storyline is they can change it however the fuck they want at any time, and you can't ever say shit about it. It's like the Black Scorpion that we were talking about.
I can't if they try to say it's Luchasaurus, and I look back at that footage and he's fucking
yeah, that's
like
true. But we said the same shit about Retribution too, but that didn't last very long. There was clearly not those guys in Retribution either. Well, fucking T-Bar and Mace, fucking huge ass motherfuckers were not back there beating the shit out of people. That was regular dudes.
I think it came out later who was who under the masks, but I don't remember any of them now.
All right, so but the question here is CM Punk politely turns down Impact's offer, and he goes backstage for Bound for Glory. If you're CM Punk and you're hell bent on wrestling again, where do you go at this point? Because if you go to WWE, you're looked at as the biggest hypocrite of all time, even by your own fans. You're turning down Impact. You're definitely not going to go to NWA. I don't give a fuck what Billy Corgan says nice things about you online. That's not happening. You literally said in your tweet to Punk that, yeah, we can't pay you what you're worth, but if you want to have some fun. No, that's not what. He doesn't care about the money, but you're not going to get him for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
come to that hot dog and a handshake, son.
Yeah, hot dog and a handshake. Exactly.
Come pay your dues on the indies.
So if you're hell bent and we don't think his body can hold up in New Japan, nor that he would want to go over there for an extended period of time, what do you do if you're Punk?
Retire gracefully as you can. I'm not sure that has he said like I want to keep wrestling even if nobody takes me? I haven't heard that.
I mean, that's the vibe I've been getting from all the stories that are coming out, but no one's actually said it outright now.
Yeah.
And now that Heels, the show that he was on, was canceled because of all the shit going on.
Yeah.
That doesn't help either.
It's gonna be real bored. His wife's gonna kick him out. It's like, you gotta go find a fucking hobby.
3 days ago, I believe, was his birthday as well. Fellow Scorpio, that doesn't shock me at all.
Whatever the fuck that means. I don't pay attention.
I'm a
to
Scorpio as well. I'm just saying.
Okay. I know that, but I don't
My
know.
birthday's on Halloween for the audience out there that do not know.
Wow. What is that supposed to mean? Are they typically
We're assholes. We're asshole people.
Insufferable pieces of shit at every
Yes,
job?
exactly.
Okay.
Yes. I am the most insufferable person on this show. Don't care. I'm definitely the most insufferable person at my job. Don't care.
Healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't care. I'm worried about me and my Bulldogs, and I don't give a fuck about really anybody else. I don't like people. I'm like a Lesnar and a Punk that way. I don't like people. Just that kind of shit. I'm very nice to people online on X in the wrestling community, I think, for the most part, unless they say something really fucking stupid like Raj. But other than that, I'm really fucking nice to people. I help out animals whenever I can. This donation thing that we're doing right now to the Humane Society, it will be my 3rd or 4th donation to the Humane Society since I've started streaming stuff, whether it be on Twitch or now YouTube. So, I mean, I feel like I'm a nice dude. It's just, I just don't care.
And you think this is because you were born in October?
No, I think that's all bullshit, but it's just a nice coincidence is all I'll say.
Okay. I was just making sure. I know if we were going to talk
No,
about
I don't know
crystals
shit
next,
about that
or-
kind of stuff. No,
Okay.
I know very loose amount of things about signs and shit. I don't really care about that. I don't care about that either. How about that? So you like legit would be like, even if he's feeling the itch or whatever to get back, like maybe not even do like a couple indie, like the bigger indie ones or anything, just to show up or something, like not extended
I could
stays.
see him show up in like Defy or Revolver or something. That wouldn't be that weird, I guess. But like,
As an actual gig for long term, you don't see him ever. I mean, unless WWE brings him in, you don't see him ever doing that again.
here's my thing too. Yeah, I don't know. I obviously AEW's not gonna take him back at this point. It'd be too fucking weird, like too much going on. It's just the amount of accommodations and promises and whatever that would have to be made is just not worth it.
Well,
So
they
I
already
don't
gave
ever
all
see
his
him go
money
back
to.
there,
They already gave all his money to Adam Copeland anyway, so it's too late.
which is a good investment so far. So whatever.
And possibly Beth Phoenix as well.
Oh, or is there talk of her supposed to be?
I mean, I don't know. They literally asked him in that first scrum that he had after he debuted, and he said he'd be down as long as she was down. And
Is she
I know
not
she
on some
loves
kind of
still wrestling.
Legends thing or something? That's kind of
That's a great question. I don't know about all that.
Huh.
Oh, that was my
Okay.
immediate thought when Flair came out, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I think he is. Like 99% sure he is. I don't know how the fuck they did that. It might have just been a, hey, this is for Sting. Can you not be a dick this one time kind of call? So who knows? But yeah, I'm pretty sure he actually is on the Legends deal. Okay, so here's my thing. If he's backstage at Impact and he's like gassing everybody up and everybody likes him so much or whatever, it does kind of look bad that they're like, oh, do you want to like come do some work here? And he's like, I'm a little bit too good for Impact, but I'll come back here and tell everybody what a good job they're doing and be nice.
Yeah,
But
see,
I
that's
don't
the
wanna
thing. He was
work here.
polite
That
about
seems
it, but
weird.
it was also the reason that I'm bringing up the question is because, yes, he was polite about it. That goes without saying because that's what the headline was or whatever, and everybody had to make sure that we all knew that. But he was also backstage there. But he's also been to wrestling events and has no problem supporting people that he knows or likes or whatever. Like he did the same thing with Mercedes at Battle in the Valley, right? So like we know he has no problem traveling to these places, or especially if they're in Chicago, he'll definitely go. The issue is that the first place to ask you is the biggest place outside of
the places that you're not allowed.
The ones that you're not at. Yeah, that you've either got fired at or walked out of. So you automatically turn down your third option, which would seemingly be your first option in the eyes of a lot of your fans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, well, where do you go from now? If you're not going to Impact, you're definitely not going to NWA, which is below that. You can't go to Ring of Honor because they're owned by AEW now. And MLW is definitely probably closer to NWA than it is Impact. So unless you went to NJPW Strong, because we don't think he's going to go to Japan, I don't really see an avenue for him on a company that people actually go out of their way to watch on a regular basis or that has an actual TV deal.
I think he's a little too fragile for Strong even too. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. Like I legitimately just don't think his body's going to hold up against any like regular New Japan competition schedule match style. Like all this conversation leads to is the only option is if WWE takes him back, and they came out and said no. But of course, there's conspiracy theorists out there that are saying, hey, we're not going to believe that until after Survivor Series is over. Yeah.
Which I don't blame them.
Honestly, yeah, it's fair because here's the thing. Because the tickets there are already sold out, they don't have to do like a pre-announcement. They're already sold out. And if they can't get them or don't get them or don't want them or whatever, then when the fans show up there and they're real disappointed about it, hey, nothing was ever we never said he was coming. What do you mean? But yeah, I feel like if tickets were like half sold and he was signed and going, then you would start seeing more hints of it, like, hey, wink, wink, like you should really buy tickets to this event because CM Punk's going to be there. But yeah, they don't have any impetus to do that since it's already sold out. Who gives a shit? At that point, they're fishing for pay-per-view buys, and I feel like most people that are gonna get it already have Peacock or whatever. What I did learn though, relatively recently, is that apparently a lot of pay-per-view buys come, like actual pay-per-view buys, like people still buying old school like $40 or whatever the fuck pay-per-views, come after the pay-per-view happens still. That's like a pretty significant number of WWE revenue still. Weirdly enough, especially in international markets, which I had no idea of at all. I was looking at Dave Meltzer break that down like a week or two ago.
Do you think that's because WWE and now AEW to some extent as well, especially for the NFL schedule, they are running a lot of pay-per-views on Saturdays, and Sundays in a lot of these countries are the days that people are off, so they'll just buy it the next day and watch it the next day? Do you think it has something to do with that?
Maybe. It could also just be that, I mean, obviously they don't have Peacock. They don't have like an NBC streaming platform or whatever. So I'm sure that's part of it too. But yeah, I would, if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably more likely about the licensing itself than it is about like dates or anything like that.
I've never bought a pay-per-view the day after. Ever.
I have. I bought, what fucking one was it? It was one of the Ring of Honor ones. I didn't watch it while it happened, but something happened on it. And I was like, okay. That sounds like
but even if I don't watch it while it happens, I usually have already bought it. Like, for instance, I fucked up, and I'm going to my first ever hockey game that I bought tickets for yesterday. I bought them on Friday. They went on sale at 10 a.m., stayed up, bought them. First ever. I'm going to be on the glass. I'm fucking hyped. Then I realized that it's November 18th, which is Full Gear. So, I'll be buying the pay-per-view for that Saturday. You
get to watch it on your phone while you're there.
No, I'm not doing it. Definitely not on the glass. Fuck that. Like if I was in the cheap seats, yeah, maybe. But no. This is my first game ever, and I'm on the glass. I'm not paying
That's not
attention to
true.
anything.
It's not your first game ever. We went to a
I've never been to a Hurricanes game.
We went to one in fucking Raleigh with Dad.
I've never been. That wasn't me. Was not me. Mom, Dad, and y'all went. I did not go. I promise you. I've never been. Shayna's been to one. I'm pretty sure Ethan's been to one. Mom and Dad been to one. I've never been to a Hurricanes game ever.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, them seats was definitely not on the fucking glass. We was we were way
Well,
up there.
to make you feel better, this ain't the NHL. So
Yeah.
I'm not paying NHL prices for this. I'm pretty sure my tickets cost like $40 a piece. I'm good.
Yeah, no, we were so high up that the dude shooting the t-shirt cannon guns couldn't get that shit up there.
God damn. You couldn't even see the puck. There's no way you saw the puck. I literally
We
asked
saw
a friend.
we saw some
I
people
literally asked a friend of the show, Michael. I was like, hey man, when you went, because he's been to one of the games around here before when they used to have a team back then before they went defunct and then came back. I said, hey man, is it hard to see the puck in person when because you can only, depending on where you're sitting at, you can only turn your head so much,
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I want to be on the glass. I want to make sure I'm on the fucking glass. I don't want anybody in front of me if the puck is already hard to see. He was like, no, I saw it pretty good. He was like, I was not in the first few rows. He was kind of high up too. He wasn't in the nosebleeds like you, but he was kind of high up and he said he was fine. I was like, okay. But I'm not even taking it a chance. It's my first game. I want to fucking see the shit.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I love hockey on TV. My favorite team is the Capitals, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm hyped about that, but I'm not hyped because I fucking found out it's November 18th and the game starts at 6:05 p.m., of course. So by the time I get home, I might as well just wait for the pay-per-view to end and then just start it because I don't want to click play and then it starts playing in the fucking middle of the pay-per-view. I'll be pissed.
That's why I like doing it on Fight. It always does the watch from the beginning thing. Because I don't get them on Bleacher Report anymore. I did for a little bit, and then I'm not gonna pay an extra fucking $10-$20 sometimes, and then have that app fuck up more than just buying it on Fight and watching it through like a Canadian VPN.
I still have to stream it from my phone with like Apple Mirror or whatever, screen mirroring, because the fucking sound and video keep fucking up so bad. Like the last 3 pay-per-views, I've had to just stream it from my phone instead. It's so dumb, through Roku or whatever, instead of just using the BR app on Roku like you're fucking supposed to. And then I always thought, hey, maybe it's just a live feed and it'll fix itself for the next day or whatever. Nope, still fucked up. The app is ridiculously stupid. But I have a workaround, so I'm not too worried about it right now. But I was going to have people over, but now obviously that's canceled because I'll be at a hockey game. So
invite them to the hockey game.
Full Gear won't be happening, but at World's End will be happening because it's on a Saturday, which they also announced. But it's whatever.
So that increased pay-per-view schedule we were talking about, I guess, is a thing.
Even though they literally told us to our face that he wasn't considering it, and yet here you are, and you just put two new pay-per-views in the fucking 2 months that you didn't have pay-per-views in, right after you said you weren't considering it.
We know that man's a fucking liar.
Come on, man. Don't be like the rest of them, Tony.
Yeah, we trusted you.
But like I said on Twitter, I don't mind the extra pay-per-views. Just either make them 40 instead of 50, or get on fucking Max. It's not hard.
They got to still be working toward that, right? Because I think they were talking about even the reality show thing that they did the like 6-episode run of or whatever. AEW. What the fuck was it called?
All Access.
All Access, yeah. So apparently that's going to be streaming on Max. So there's some talk there going on already.
I mean, the thing I think about all this is like he announces a pay-per-view in January next, right? Or soon, or right after At World's End or something. I don't know why I keep saying At World's End. I think that's a fucking Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But anyway, World's End. Technically, it's At World's End. But anyway, it's not, the pay-per-view is not called At World's End. Anyway, World's End, which is, and I think I had this on positive things to say. I hope I don't. Give me a second. I don't want to ruin one of my positive things to say. I do, so I'll talk about it like later. But anyway, I think it is a direct sign to the people at Max to be like, hey, we have 12 shows now that all these people would be flooding to your app to watch 12 times a year. So you can get those spikes in whatever the fuck your rating system is or viewership rating system is. I think that looks a lot better than, hey, there's these 4 or 5 shows a year that everybody's going to go up to your app and start
Yeah.
watching or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like,
if they have more consistent shows, they'll have less people starting the subscription and then stopping the subscription on a monthly billing. Versus like if there's one every month, then you're not going to have the people drop off and only come back when they want to watch the thing, I guess.
yeah, so it doesn't hurt the fluctuation of your subscribers to
numbers.
your streaming service when you have to do these quarterly things, especially when the AEW was running quarterly pay-per-views.
And cuts the revenue by however many months they're missing out on from people canceling it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of the conversation. It was like, yeah, well, what do you have to keep people watching on our platform? If you've got a 3-4 month gap between some of your pay-per-views, why wouldn't they just cancel their subscription and then renew it like the day before the next pay-per-view is and then cancel it again? So they're only paying 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. So they're really only paying for 4 or 5 months out of the year instead of a 12-month subscription for a year-long subscriber for your product or whatever. So yeah, I do think that's probably part of the motivation for adding in some of these new ones. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, let's move on to what we were talking about a little bit. I said that we were going to talk about it in a minute. Here it is. It's Sting's gift. Now, it wasn't on any of my top 5, unfortunately, which a lot of people seem to like, and I appreciate that, guys. But it wasn't in the top 5. This wasn't in the top 5. I mean, kind of. I did say Black Scorpion. I say a match, a handicap match with Black Scorpion and Shockmaster. We were halfway there, guys. Anyway, this gift from Tony Khan was Ric Flair. The music was done by Mikey Ruckus. He said he had 5 hours to do it. He was notified 5 hours before the show or before he had to have it or whatever.
Well, that's what makes me think that he's probably on a Legends deal and they had to work some shit out last second, but who knows?
Or he just didn't want the shit to get out. Because clearly Sting was genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
That Flair came out, as a lot of people were when you think about all the stuff you were talking about, like the Legends deal and all that other stuff, and the shit that Flair talks about AEW every now and then because Flair's lost his fucking mind. I will say that the segment itself, in a vacuum, was great. It was great. Christian was obviously shined as the star. Sting did really good. Sting showed real emotion that Flair came out. It seemed like only really Darby and Tony Schiavone that were out there knew that it was Flair. And then, of course, you had the way that the shit played out. And I don't know if it was literally down to a T where they were rehearsing this shit, because how could you? Because no one knew that Flair was coming out there. But the limited mic time for Flair with a live mic was fantastic. Yeah. So he came out there, said what he needed to say. As soon as he said what he needed to say, Christian's music hits. Before Flair can fucking respond on the live mic, who has the microphone in his hand, Sting takes it. So he can't do it. Then as soon as Sting is done, Sting's music starts playing. Yeah. So like you can't have Flair come in there with a live mic taking over this fucking show and running into time constraints later on for other matches that need matches. So I think the way that it played out was perfect. I don't know if it's going to be like that every time with Flair on the live mic, but apparently Flair is sticking around according to what was implied there, at least until March when Sting retires. That's what I gathered from the whole thing.
Yeah, there's going to be some more risk management type stuff implemented, I'm sure. You could tell the way that segment was put together was like to limit any possibility of him saying some weird shit. Just like, hey, here's your lines, only do your lines. And as soon as like you said, as soon as he finished them, it was straight into Christian's music and then straight into Sting promo. Like no room for this man to start wandering around and fucking elbow dropping nothing and saying weird shit.
He did go to the ropes, though. He did go to the ropes. He looked like he was going to elbow drop something for a second.
He did go to the ropes. I feel like if he is supposed to be there till March, I wouldn't mind a segment with him and Jay Lethal.
Even in passing or something, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, just something backstage. But more broadly speaking, like this is another one of those things where it's like doing it the one time for the pop is fine, but there is something to be said for Ric Flair having his own history of not great conduct, we'll say. And
no, I get all that. That's fine. That's fine. So that's why I would have preferred it be the one-time thing, and then maybe again at Revolution when Sting actually is done, and he comes out there and hugs him or something like that. Something like that would have been fine. I don't know if I need to see him every time I see Sting until March. The other issue is,
Unless they're running
The
North
live
Carolina a
mic
lot.
situation, obviously, because you're not gonna waste Sting away on Rampage, and you're not gonna be paying Ric Flair tons of money to come in for Rampage, right? So you got that. But the other thing is that I don't want him on every show that Sting is on all the way till March, because then that takes away from Sting's retirement tour, because now some of that shine is getting put on Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, yeah.
Ric Flair's had 3 retirement tours. He's fine. He doesn't need it. This is about Sting. I understand that Sting would say yes and wants him there, and he owes a lot to him. I get all that. That's fine. But that moment on Dynamite and then a moment at Revolution, and I'm good. I don't need to see Flair every fucking time.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I don't not even just need to see him. Like I feel like with Flair, everybody's like they see him and they cheer because it's Ric Flair. Then everybody's like waiting with anticipation for him to say some weird shit anytime he has a mic. So yeah, I don't need him doing promos. I don't need him like doing really anything. Just you did your one piece. You can come back and do like an interference spot at the pay-per-view. Maybe save somebody or beat up somebody who's trying to interfere or something like that. Like this.
Yeah, beat up somebody that's trying to interfere. Put them on in a figure 4 on the outside of the ring or something like that to get the pop. You know, something like that. That's fine.
Hit him with some.
But we also still don't know who Sting's final opponent is going to be. We think it's going to be Darby, so there's really would be no need for that anyway. But yeah, like maybe when this 3-on-3 happens, and clearly it's going to be Adam Copeland is going to be their third partner. Maybe Flair's on the outside for that. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. But for the purposes of the gift within itself, are we keeping the gift, putting away the gift in a storage place like the attic or the garage, or sending it back to the store?
We're gonna put it in the storage until the pay-per-view.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'm going with put away as well. So there we go with that one. Let's talk about Germany, baby. Let's talk about WWE International PLEs are here. They announced Bash in Berlin. There's also rumors per Fightful that they're also thinking about running France next year as well. Now, Bash in Berlin will be happening on August 31st, 2024. Now, before we get into your thoughts on this, I would like to say that I think this is literally all because of the Endeavor merger deal and the way that UFC does their pay-per-views. And they're trying to get over there to the loudest crowds, because this was never a fucking thing under Vince. And now magically we're going to Puerto Rico, we're going to London, now we're going to Berlin, and we're thinking about going to France, we're going to Elimination Chamber in Australia. I 100% think that they're taking the model of UFC and going over there. They're getting paid from these countries to run the show. They're going to have a hot crowd at these shows. They've got people that are from these countries that are loving them. Like, for instance, obviously Rhea Ripley is going to get fucking cheered out the goddamn stadium for Elimination Chamber. You've got, I know he's from Austria, but fucking Walter or Gunther is going to get cheered like a motherfucker
anywhere in Europe.
In Berlin, yeah, in Europe, yeah, just in Europe. Drew McIntyre in London at Clash of the Castle, of course. You had Money in the Bank in London, I believe, as well. No, Clash of the Castle was Wales. Yeah, Wales. Then you have Puerto Rico, where you had Bad Bunny and Damian Priest and Zelina Vega. So like this they're clearly doing the UFC model, right? I'm not just imagining that.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe with the frequency, it's more like an Endeavor thing, but it's not like they've never run France before. They run France because I remember people in fucking France love Baron Corbin for some reason.
No, I get that for the house show tours. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, the live tours or whatever. I get that, but these are like big shows that matter that are going to be on the network type deal.
But what I'm saying is, it's not necessarily because of Endeavor, because you could also look at it as like their house show tours were so successful and like got such good turnout and stuff that they realized like, hey, there is a market here where we could run.
They would have known that long time ago when Bret Hart was selling out fucking everywhere in Germany, though.
Bret Hart's different.
Bret Hart was like David Hasselhoff over there.
That's what Bret Hart's different.
But they never ran any big shows. That's my point. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence at all that they're starting to do this now that they've merged and somebody else is overlooking that kind of thing.
Maybe, but it just based on the trajectory they were already on with the house show tours, it very well could have also just been,
because it definitely ain't based off of Saudi Arabia.
You know what?
Those crowds suck.
Yeah, well, until they see the Undertaker. I think
or Yokozuna in the Greatest Battle Royal.
I think, stupid. You think if they brought out Rikishi dressed as Yokozuna, they would know the difference?
Well, they brought out the sumo wrestler dude out there that was supposed to be. I forgot his name, but yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And I guess people were
Awkward.
supposed to think that was him
Yeah.
under a different name. I don't fucking know. This is the best we could do. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. You know, all Samoans and Asians look alike, according to WWE, I guess. I don't know.
Apparently.
I know one thing. It would have been hilarious. I don't know if Fuji was still alive when the Greatest Royal Rumble happened or not, but if he would have came out with the dude, that would have been fucking funny.
You know what the benefit of Endeavor might be that maybe WWE didn't have enough expertise in or like experience in or
Like
whatever.
getting paid by the countries to run the shows.
No, I was more thinking about the licensing for international broadcasts because Endeavor's going to have a lot more experience with that and the regulations and that how that pay works and like what the restrictions are and all that bullshit than WWE would have, having never really done it in a lot of these countries for shows that they're broadcasting on like a pay-per-view basis. So it could be that's something that they were able to draw from Endeavor that they didn't have before.
Well, we were talking about Gunther a little bit earlier, and I saved it for this specific thing because a lot of people you were talking about Chad Gable taking off him. Gunther's not losing until after August 31st, 2024. Because he's not, unless he's going to be the world champion on Raw at Bash in Berlin or win that world title at Bash in Berlin. If he's still IC champ, no, he's going to keep it till then because I think he's going to have a huge match at that show. And I don't think it's going to go the same way as Drew McIntyre in Cardiff. So if it ends up being, I feel like if it's like Gunther loses at WrestleMania or Gunther loses at Royal Rumble his title, yeah, you might have something. But if that happens, all signs point to Gunther winning that fucking Raw world title at Bash in Berlin.
Could just make him double champion.
He will join a select roster of, I believe, Austin, Triple H, and Warrior. I believe are the only ones.
The only ones ever held Intercontinental and World at the same time.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I guess Shawn Michaels didn't, huh?
No, well, he technically did, but I think that's no. He had European title. He had the European title. Yeah. There was something he was gonna. I think he did have it or some shit, but then that was the match where him and Triple H were fucking around in the ring as DX, and he let Triple H pin him. And then like Gorilla Monsoon came out and said, "No, that doesn't count" or some shit, and stripped the title from Triple H, some shit like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that sounds right enough. And I was also thinking Rollins for a second until I remembered, no, that was his U.S. title. So
yeah, a couple people have done it with the U.S. I think Cena might have done it with the U.S. too, but I'm not positive on that. All right, so big international PLEs are here, and we think it's really good. I'm happy for the people that are getting them because they don't ever get any shows that actually matter. So, and trust me, I know how that feels too because I've lived in places with a lot of small towns that they come to do house shows and nothing ever happens. So, like, I get it. So I'm very happy for these guys. It's gonna be loud as fuck. It's gonna be awesome. People in Berlin, they're gonna be fucking singing "Sweet Caroline" and fucking West Virginia Mountain Mama shit like that. I'm telling you, they go nuts. I've seen the NFL games in Germany. I've seen the NFL games in London. The fucking the crowd is insane. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break here. I'm gonna put it back on the starting soon screen. Take the starting soon off. You look that up if you're still looking that up. And then when I get back on this side of the break, we'll talk TKO Endeavor some more. And then, of course, Kenny Omega versus MJF from last night's Collision. All right, guys, we are back. All right, did you look up the information?
Yeah, it's not really a good list of it, but I did find one that you didn't mention. Technically, Triple H.
I said Triple H.
I
did. I said Triple H, Austin, and Ultimate Warrior were the only three.
What do you remember the context of Triple H's?
That's a great question. Oh no, not off the top of my head.
So it was when Kane was the Intercontinental Champion, and he beat Kane, and then they immediately merged the fucking World Heavyweight Championship with the Intercontinental Championship and like right after the match. So he had both, and then they deactivated the Intercontinental to kind of fold it into the world right after.
Yeah, I just remember Jim Ross literally saying on commentary that Triple H and Ultimate Warrior were the only two that have ever done it.
Well, then Stone Cold he's the one that reactivated the Intercontinental one like a year later or whatever.
Was that because of the Power Trip thing, or was that before that?
I don't know.
Because remember, they were Power Trip. One had one and one had the other.
It was in 2002.
That sounds maybe like the Power Trip thing. 2002, there was a lot of shit going on in 2002. Power Trip maybe, because Austin was still an active performer during the Power Trip.
Yeah.
So because he was the Intercontinental Champion out of the two, I believe, and Triple H was the World Champion, and they were bad guys. So possibly. All right, you're good. We don't have to go into the entire history or anything. We're good. All right, moving on to TKO. We talked about them a little bit just now. But speaking of them, Fightful is reporting numerous WWE talent, including several top stars, have not been approached for contract extensions. Multiple talent spoken to were of the belief that the recent merger with Endeavor will kickstart a lot of the contract talks, and several are waiting to see what the offers are like and when that happens. But it hasn't happened yet. Do you think these talents will be lowballed with all like cost cutting measures that they've been doing since the merger? And if so, will that lead to another influx of AEW and TNA talent?
Probably, because I do feel like Endeavor is a lot more budget minded in the sense that if somebody's not actively wrestling, they're like, why the fuck are we paying them? Because they're a company that's used to paying per appearance and not per having you on retainer to do shit, if that makes sense. So a lot of the guys that are under contract, which you haven't seen do anything in forever, I would imagine, are probably going to get some weirder offers, some lesser offers. Would not be surprised at all to see that.
So we think that even if they offer the bigger stars money, that, like, for instance, the rumors are Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, guys like that, their contracts are coming up fairly soon. And it used to be where WWE wants to lock these guys in way before, so that they don't have to worry about that type of shit, or worry about them getting so hot that they have to overpay them later on when we could have got them for less if we would have just went to them earlier type deal. And they were doing a lot of that when AEW first started as well. That's when it really started kicking in that they were doing it that way. And you think that they still do it, just not as early. They still pay those guys, but then to offset those contracts, that's when they go after the guys that they're not using so much, and then be like, okay, we need a cost cut again and get rid of about 5 to 10 more people that we're not using, like Akira Tozawa for example, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they actually are kind of using him now, ironically enough. But yeah, I do think that they're going to view, depending on who's in charge of, who's overseeing talent contracts for WWE, because I imagine they still want to keep most of that in house. But if somebody above them is also has some sort of oversight on that, and they're like, well, why the fuck are we paying this guy like $350,000 a year, and he's wrestled 3 times, and 2 of them are on house shows, or whatever. I could definitely see those being some uncomfortable conversations. For those people, I wouldn't be surprised if they got lowballed with like hey, you're not really doing that much. We'll still pay you like $165 or something. And then if we do decide to use you, or you're more active or whatever, we'll bump you up to like $225 or some shit. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see stuff like that. Because they are a company that's going to be a lot more used to paying per appearance. Like if you're not actively making money, then why the fuck am I giving you money? So it depends on Endeavor's level of oversight for sure.
Thinking of making money, I don't have this as an actual thing, but for a story, but I did see they released the top merch getters right now, and Roman is 1, Cody's 2, Jey Uso I believe is 3, LA Knight is 4, something like that.
Holy shit. Jey Uso's that high?
Oh, Jey Uso
What-
soared big time. He's either 3 or 4. I just saw this on Twitter X.
I know he's popular, but isn't all his merchandise basically just says main event? Like, isn't it? It's
Main
not
event
like
Jey
a,
Uso, yeah, something like that. But it was in the same way, it was same style as Day One ish or whatever the fuck it was. Down since Day One, it was like the same format, but just said main event Jey Uso type deal, I guess. But anyway, yeah, it's taken off big time. But anyway, based off of that knowledge, like it's not as egregious now to have your top 2 merchandise getters going against each other at WrestleMania 40 again, but I still think they could have done that before, because I'm pretty sure Roman and Cody were number 1 and number 2 last year.
yeah.
LA Knight and Jey Uso, 2 dudes that came out of nowhere as far as merch getters go, where LA Knight had no merch at all, and all the Jey Uso's merch was locked into Uso stuff. To now be in the top 5, that's pretty crazy.
The nice thing about LA Knights, looking at it, it's like it's pretty simple. It's just the LA and then Knight underneath it. Like it's not
Or the
it's not so
shirt,
obviously
yeah.
a fucking wrestling shirt, you know? It's one of them things.
You know, like if I wear a shirt, no one's gonna know what the fuck. No one's gonna know it, like it just says on it.
I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's the that politician from a lot of years ago when he was on
Howard
and
Dean.
his voice cracked.
That's Howard Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so, you know what's fucking crazy is thinking back on that? Like that ruined his campaign, but the type of shit people do and say and get away with now, just nobody gives a fuck. But that ruined his campaign back then. So weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. Brock Lesnar does that every time he talks. All right.
And so does Tony Khan if he's really excited about introducing somebody.
All right, let's well, I hope they get it figured out, because we don't have a lot of room over there on the AEW roster. Let's say there's one person that they can't get it done with. Who do you want it to be so that they can come over? We're getting Rollins, we're getting Sheamus, we're getting AJ, we're getting Drew, taking everything into account. Their backlog categories, their fucking current wrestling ability, and their age.
It's got to be like, well, okay, Rollins would probably have more interesting matchups just from him talking so much on Twitter.
Well, that's especially if they get Ospreay over in AEW.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm thinking like Ospreay, Omega, like those types. Could revisit the Edge stuff a little bit if they really wanted to, I guess. You know, the 2 obvious answers are going to be your Nakamura and your Styles, because there are a lot of matchups they could have, and you could have Nakamura do a lot of callback stuff with New Japan guys because they have access to them, obviously. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I'm trying to think of guys that maybe don't necessarily have that much of like a history with anybody that they could be playing to or anything like that, but would still make interesting matchups. And like Gunther's not a bad pick. I think that would be cool.
Sheamus is the only answer that makes sense to me. Well, Gunther's not. His contract's not up anytime soon, I don't believe.
I know McIntyre was looking at leaving relatively
Yes, McIntyre
recently.
was on there, but there's also reports saying that now he's already signed a new deal or some shit. So I don't know. That's going back and forth. No one really knows.
They did start using him again. He is more prominent again. So.
Oh no, I know that he was gone for a little bit, but they're saying that the contract was still coming up soon. Now, but then there's also reports now saying that no, that's not true. He literally just recently signed a new deal. So I don't know. That's I included him in the graphic anyway. We got Drew, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, AJ, Sami Zayn were the ones that I saw listed.
I mean, yeah, Zayn or Owens, you could still do some cool stuff with too, I guess. Killer Cross.
If it's me, I'm probably if I want dream matchup scenarios, I'm probably taking Rollins.
Right? Yeah.
Plus, I think Rollins would be the biggest surprise out of all of them because he's the most company guy out of all of them to me. And outside that, like a dark horse pick, I'm taking Sheamus because even though he does have the injuries and stuff, like everybody he fights in AEW would be something that we've never seen before because he's been a WWE guy since day one as well.
That and also, but his loyalty to Triple H, I don't see that happening, bro.
No, I don't see either one of them happening. I think Rollins would be a bigger surprise than even Edge.
You think?
Yes. Yeah. Edge was thinking about going to AW before. So yes.
Oh, you mean like before he agreed to come back?
As far as a company man that owes everything to the guy that's in charge. Sheamus and Seth Rollins are literally number 1 and 2 on that list. As far as the options that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, I could see him leaving. Drew McIntyre has left to go to Impact before, well, he got fired, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he has no problem doing it. He got over and came back. So he has no problem. He was even doing indie stuff. It wasn't like he just went to Impact. He was doing indie stuff overseas first, and then went to Impact, and then got huge, and then came back. So, no, Rollins, I think, would be the biggest, like, I mean, Edge was bigger than Punk, obviously, just because Edge was looked as the company dude. And we thought he was going to have like a backstage office fucking job afterwards because everybody talks about how great his mind is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was weird, but it wasn't as weird when you saw that he was in contract negotiations with AEW on the previous contract before he came back and was actually cleared to come back when he showed up at Royal Rumble in Seattle. So yeah, so I don't think that would be as big as Rollins coming over. Rollins coming over would be fucking like, if Rollins came over, all bets are off. Like, anyone can go anywhere if that happened, in my opinion. Because Rollins also has, even though he does have injuries, I think he has a lot more shelf life than Adam Copeland does.
He has no reason to move, though. They're actively
no.
using him and
I
stuff,
agree.
like,
I'm just saying, like, I would pick him if I could cherry pick somebody as Tony Khan. That's who I'm taking because of years left and because of star power right now. Because AJ's older than him by a lot. I think. I'm pretty sure.
That's rude.
That's where AJ loses out to me because AJ Styles this is probably his last contract.
Did you read his thing the other day where he said he doesn't remember how to do the spiral tap anymore?
That's crazy. That's just because he hasn't done it in fucking forever, probably.
Yeah,
I have to get a crash pad out there and try to fucking learn how to redo it.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I can't do it. I don't remember how to do it when I'm out there, which is pretty weird.
Well, yeah,
I guess that's not that weird.
I would pick Seth.
Because I remember, like,
you got Moxley over there. That's obviously the first thing you probably want to do right out the gate.
True.
He has had a long history of Danielson as well over there. He had the big match with Claudio where Claudio was supposed to get super over from the UFO swing against Rollins, and he beat Rollins. So he's got a thing with the entire BCC. And of course, like you said, the shit with Omega, the shit with Ospreay online, like, nah. I think the most money to be had is with Rollins for sure, and it would be the biggest shock.
Word right now is apparently Ospreay is supposed to be signing with AEW too, so it's not just like he could do it because they've got the New Japan tie or whatever, but apparently he is actually like seriously considering.
I guess it would also depend on how much, because Rollins has Becky, but Becky's not leaving, and he has the kid that's also very still young.
Mm-hmm.
If I could cherry pick him, the issue would then become, yeah, you got a lot of things that you could do over here, but how much of them would you want to do, or how big do you want your schedule to be at that point? Because you know you're still going to want to be with Becky and all of them.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a consideration for a lot of them with spouses in the industry. Yeah. It's probably a big consideration and Juice coming over too. So
well, I'm saying, like,
was already here.
If he could somehow get Becky on board too, then it would probably be a lot easier, is what I'm saying.
That's a wildly different wrestling landscape.
No, I agree. Jesus Christ. I don't think I don't think it would fucking not even, I mean, unless Becky just views WWE as, hey, there's nothing else I can do over here. You're clearly pushing younger people, but I want to keep wrestling.
I mean, that's kind of true. That's why she's in NXT right now, right? So maybe.
All right.
But then we have this weird issue where we're sending all the young people to AEW and taking all the old people from WWE to AEW, where we've done Punk, we've done Copeland, we would get whoever the fuck you're talking about now.
I agree with that. That's why I said
sending off Jade Cargill.
That's why out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people we're talking about, I'm literally I'm saying we're picking one. We're not grabbing fucking 3 of them. We're picking one. And by the time that happens, who knows who else's contract runs out and we don't re-sign over in AEW either, if I'm Tony Khan.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Why does your graphic just say low offer?
Does it say low? That's all. What are you talking about?
The contract on the graphic, just
that's literally what the thing was. Yeah, I think it's hilarious. What are you talking about? That's great.
Right,
it says TKO right there. What are you talking about?
I see it. It's
sliding it over to these 5 guys.
I see it.
Don't make fun of my graphics, man. It takes me a long time to do these. 15 minutes per. That's a lot when you talk about how many fucking things I'm doing. All right. Speaking of graphics, this is the most bare bones one anyway, because this was the very last one I came up with. Let's talk about it. It's literally from the match between MJF and Kenny Omega on Collision.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. MJF surpasses Kenny Omega's record, or he will now, for sure.
He will now, yeah.
For those curious, because a big narrative with MJF for a long time was that he barely wrestles. However, since he's been world champion, he has put his title on the line 8 times, including last night's Collision match against Omega, where he retained to break Omega's record for the longest AEW world title reign. Also, for anyone wondering, by comparison, in Omega's reign, he defended the AEW world title successfully 6 times, and on the 7th defense, lost to Adam Page. So MJF is wrestling just as much as Omega was when it comes to AEW world title defenses. So anybody that's complaining about how much MJF has been wrestling, he's actually been wrestling a lot more than we think, and then take into account the fact that he's doing tag team matches with Adam Cole at the same time, and now 2 handicap tag team matches in a row for the last pay-per-view and this pay-per-view coming up. So I think we can throw that narrative out the window right now, at least as long as he's champion anyway.
Yeah. How'd you feel about, I mean, obviously all that's true, but how'd you feel about the match itself?
The match itself, I will not give it 5 stars. I know Dave probably going to give it 5 stars. A lot of people were hyping it up. It was a great match. I'm probably giving it like 4.75. And it's not even for Callis, because Callis didn't really have any bearing on it. He didn't get the win off the roll. So it doesn't matter, right? Like, I thought it was going to matter, but it didn't.
But Kenny would have gotten the win if he had hit the one-winged angel.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know.
MJF's going to kick out of
He could. If any one person in AEW right now was going to, it would be the guy that just kicked out of my fucking heat seeker. Hell yeah, I'm kicking out of your shit. So anyway, back to the original point. I get a 4.75 because the first parts of the match were a little rocky. Like, I felt like these 2 dudes have so much fucking talent that they overcame an off night. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
The slip ups here and there, and then I mean, Kenny Omega did a great job selling the knee for the last 75% of the match, but the nip ups where he stumbled or whatever, there was a couple things in the corner. The MJF dive to the outside was nowhere close on point to hitting Omega. Omega had to literally run to the side to catch him.
His little backflip thing. Yeah. I keep seeing people post a little video clip of that, and they're like, "Oh my god, MJF! Like, that's so crazy they could do that." And I'm like, "Bro, MJF is not the impressive one in that clip, because Kenny immediately fucking recognizes. He's like, no, he's gonna be short. Let me run up and try to make this not look bad, and
short
make sure he
and
doesn't
to the
smash
right.
his fucking head on the apron by getting under him like super quickly." I was much like, it's very athletic, but I was much more impressed with Omega's insight into exactly what was fucking up and how to get under it immediately on that.
The match,
sure.
I'm giving the match probably, I mean, I have to watch everything twice. I still have it on the Sling DVR. I will watch it again, but right now it's a 4.75. I don't think it's going to change from that. The beginning of the match, like I said, there was a lot of, I guess, feeling out process, because they've never wrestled against each other one-on-one before. So that might have had something to do with it. But I really feel like it was an off night for these guys, and they're so fucking talented that they overcame it. And then like the last 80% of the fucking match was that was 5 stars. The last 80% of the match was 5 stars. But
doing an early powerbomb through a table spot was pretty interesting.
Especially when you consider how Omega's leg trapped MJF's arm on that table. I'm surprised that MJF didn't get sliced and diced from that table the way it broke.
Yeah, it was pretty.
But yeah, I'm right now 4.75 for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I would agree it's probably not like I probably wouldn't give 5 stars. I think 4.75 is fair. And I don't know that I feel the same way you do about the beginning of it being like super off or anything. Like, to me, it's like that's a typical beginning of the match feeling out process sort of.
No, the feeling out process, the storytelling of that is fine, but there are slip ups in that match. It's not just the nip up from Omega. There's other stuff in there too.
Well, I thought that was him selling the knee anyway, so I was fine with that.
I don't think he really started selling the knee until the table spot.
Okay. Well, I think the Don Callis thing did a good job, because I'm not usually crazy about interference spots, especially distraction spots, which I think are stupid. Like, Don Callis standing there is enough to distract you from just like finishing the fucking move. I don't like that. I thought that was kind of dumb baby
okay.
shit.
Now I understand that, and that's because if Kenny's so hell bent on being Kenny the Cleaner again, why not just do it right in front of Callis?
Yeah, and then
then
stare
be
at him like you
just
did after
make
the
him
fucking
eat it.
Sunny Kiss match.
But I will also say, that at least the storyline is got so much heat behind it that it would distract him to the point like I fucking got to get my hands on you type deal. I get that part of it. At least the storyline has enough heat behind it because like Don Callis is getting real boos out of the building, not piped in ones. So you get that, and he's the only one that comes out. What I would have liked to see was Don come out with like the entire family that was available and all rush out there like they're going to do something. That would distract me a lot more than just Don Callis out there. Omega can take out Don Callis. If he jumps up on the apron, I'm punching him in the fucking forehead. But if Will Hobbs and fucking Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita all come out there running and they all rush the ring like they're going to do something, that would distract me and make me take him off for the one-winged angel because I might have to defend myself.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like if he was sitting, if they had come out and circled the fucking ring, I could understand him putting down and like being fucking careful or whatever, and then starting the same roll-up spot. But to just have Don Callis stand out there and you already have him up, just fucking drop him, finish the match, get the pin, and then go deal with your Callis shit. That's where I was kind of like,
But the other thing is there's also a connection with Don Callis coming out to pretend to help MJF, who he was trying to talk to about him joining the Don Callis family earlier as well.
Fine, but again, he's already got him up in the fucking one-winged angel. Just drop it. That's the
at that point, the only thing I could think of if I'm Kenny Omega is if I hit him with the one-winged angel and Don Callis comes in this ring and it causes a DQ and pisses away my world title win, then I'm fucked. So he stops him so that he can fucking go to Don Callis and try to make sure that he doesn't interfere type deal. But to your point, why not hit him with the one-winged angel? He's fucking knocked out. Back Don Callis up, come back, and then hit him with another one-winged angel for the win.
Yeah, because it's not like he's gonna wake up. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It was that dumb baby. I'm a dumb baby face. I don't just do the obvious thing booking that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
But the match itself I thought was cool. But that did take away from it a little bit for me because it's like this is a guy who has been in such high pressure situations, who's been in such major matches or whatever. The idea that he would get so distracted by that he's just gonna like not finish his finish was crazy to me.
All right. Let's talk about positive things in wrestling this week. All right. I've got 3 things that I have that are positive that I would like to talk about. I don't know what you got. We can go back and forth if you think of something. First off, say something positive that happened in wrestling this week that you liked. I'm going to go Abaddon in the Friday Night Fright match with Sheeta. I thought the attention to detail was insane with that match as far as their props. And it wasn't just a silly fucking match name that they slapped on a regular ass world title match. It was for something. It was for the world title, so that was something. Abaddon won the night before in a fatal 4-way, which means she earned it and wasn't just a random fucking match.
Right.
I understand that she was only brought back because it was Halloween. I'm not stupid.
They do this. They do that every year.
Yeah, it's kind of like Sunny Kiss with the LGB the month or whatever. That's what it kind of feels like. I mean, obviously that's a whole different scenario. That's a lot worse, but you get what I'm saying. It feels like that.
Identity based and not based on
exactly. Like there's other times you can show up. You don't have to just show up fucking for your 2 Halloween. And if that was the case, then why not show up all of October, not the fucking last week of October? But anyway, I thought Abaddon shined not so much in the fatal 4-way match because there's a lot of shit going on that one, but the match with Sheeta was awesome. You had the flying broomstick. You had the pumpkin head spot at the end that everybody went fucking nuts for. You had her bleeding the blood. You had the bubblegum shit. By the way, the bubblegum was great because double bubble is hard as fuck. So, I mean, the gummy worms was a little weird, but being slammed on. If I slammed you on double bubble right now, you would be like, okay, that fucking hurt. If I hit you in the head as hard as I could with a fucking foam tombstone to the point that it broke in half, you would not like that. So, I mean, it wasn't like they got knocked out or anything. Anyway, she hit it with
I don't feel like that would hurt. Whatever.
It hurts. And
we have done chair shots before. I mean, it's
yeah, I know.
So like,
it still doesn't matter. It's not something you want to feel, though. I don't want to get slapped in the face with a fucking foam tombstone.
That didn't seem. That
anyway, the candy thing would have been a lot less egregious. I mean, I don't mind the candy thing. Like the double, if it was just straight double bubble, that would have been better because that would have hurt. And I'm all about hurting the other people. But what would have hurt more to me, and what I would have liked more what do I got coming? What kind of shoes I got coming soon?
Who the fuck knows? You probably got a
Candy
bunch of-
corn.
Oh yeah, them things. Goddamn.
If you dumped a bucket of candy corn out there and slammed them on candy, I bet that shit would hurt. Like, well,
No, they're pretty soft. I don't think so.
no, they're not.
You know
As
what?
an
What
avid candy corn eater, I promise you, and especially if you got the autumn mix with the pumpkins and shit in it too. Oh my god, no, you're getting fucked up.
You know what would hurt is goddamn Tootsie Pops. Them things are hard as fuck.
Dum Dums with the sticks. Now that might be too dangerous. That might be fucking Dum Dum Pops just sticking out of your back would be fucking hilarious. Depending on how hard you hit them, obviously. I mean, and then it looked a little bit weird because Sheeta barely touched them too.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. But the overall match was great. I love that they used it. There was purple bats on the bat for Abaddon. She did the under the ring thing.
Mm-hmm.
She had the Spawn gear, and then Sheeta had the fucking Wong gear, the Resident Evil 4 gear on. She did the flying witch broom thing. That was cool as fuck. Like they utilized it very well. But they even had the jack-o'-lantern face painted on the fucking on the trash can lid. Like, I mean, it was just well done. Cobwebs all over the ring and stuff. It wasn't just like the stage was decorated and then we didn't do anything. It was just a regular ass match.
It wasn't a Mountain Dew pitch black match either.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, exactly. So I thought it came off very well. I thought it was really cool. And Abaddon got to shine, at least on Collision anyway. So yeah, I'm happy for Abaddon. Happy for a Halloween themed thing to happen on their closest show to Halloween. And of course, we didn't even talk about it earlier, but Omega Street Fighter gear was pretty sick too.
Mm. Yeah.
All right, you got anything?
Did you watch MJF's post?
Yes, I did. I watched it this morning, right before I watched the Julia Hart Hey EW episode.
Oh yeah, I still need to watch that.
Oh,
I still need
it's
to watch the
insane.
Anna J one. I didn't even fucking watch that one.
The NJ one's okay, but this one is insane.
Yeah.
You don't watch the Hangman one either?
No, I watched the Hangman one.
Okay. Man, he almost had Hangman spit that shit out at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he almost had him. It was great.
There were a couple times it cracked him. Yeah, I thought that the speech that Max gave at the end was a positive thing in wrestling in the sense that, like, it does show a lot of maturity and growth from where he was at the point where he was, you know, screaming at Tony Khan that he's a fucking mark and walking out on pay-per-views or threatening to or whatever. So like he's clearly grown a lot, not just as a businessman, but as a person. And, you know, some of that is probably because he did get his ways to some extent and he did start getting paid what he's worth apparently. And that's good too. But as far as him coming out and still saying, you know, look, I really don't know whether or not I'm going to stay signing here or not, but like the opportunity to do stuff like this here, I can acknowledge I'm not going to get that anywhere else. And that does sway my opinion or whatever it was he said. And then Kenny Omega, what he said afterward was also, I thought it was just like a nice, it was a nice positive end to Kenny Omega's streak, sort of in the sense of like, hey, like, I feel confident and comfortable having this company continue because of people like this who are so young and so talented and have so many more miles than left on their bodies than I do at this point. I thought it was a very it wasn't exactly passing the torch, obviously, because Kenny Omega's still in a position where he could run the company at any time for 2 years like a fucking 2-man power trip by himself, and everybody would find it believable and fine and be totally okay with the booking. But I thought that it did give a lot of insight into sort of where MJF's head is at, and that seems like he's doing a lot better now, which I'm happy for him. It seems like he's a lot happier there and less feeling like he's unappreciated or underutilized and stuff. So it was nice to see him get some credit from Omega.
Yeah. All right. My next one is the commercial bumper for the AEW World's End. I thought they did a great job of making that feel like it was a huge fucking show right out the gate. That fucking commercial bumper for that pay-per-view made it feel like it was supposed to be like WrestleMania. Like, it was insane. I was like, I was actually hyped for it, and we're not even close to it. We have another pay-per-view to go before we even get to it. I had no idea what the fuck's going to be on the show, but the way that they just said, like, did flashbacks of everybody that's come through this year and all the big matches that we've had this year and stuff, and it's all leading to this. It was cool as fuck. And for me, I've always been a big proponent of having your biggest show of the year as your last pay-per-view. Like, I was a huge proponent of Starrcade. Starrcade was great. Like, it's the same conversation we have with the rankings for PWI and shit, right? January to December. The Monster Awards are from January 1st to December, whatever the fuck our last show is. That's it. Like, that makes the most sense. So it made sense when WCW ran Starrcade in December. That was your WrestleMania. That was your biggest event. That was your Super Bowl. And it just made sense because the next year, January, we're starting fresh. It's just easier to follow for fans and stuff. I don't know if that's what they're doing because Double or Nothing is viewed as their WrestleMania. But we've had that conversation on the show before, too, where it's like, really, they don't really have one because all 4 of their shows at the time when they were doing 4 a year, they all were fucking so spectacular. We've had how many Revolutions where we're like, that was the best show of the year? How many Forbidden Doors? That was the best show of the year. And so it's not something you can really pinpoint, but I wouldn't have a problem with if they did start trying to do World's End to be the big one.
Yeah. Seeing Roosh come back was positive. It's nice to see him.
It's surprising that they turned the stable face, at least out the gate.
Yeah, especially how fucking brutal they've been to some other people in the past. But I mean, I get it though. It works for the anti-House of Black thing, so I'm fine with it. Actually, that whole segment,
which makes sense anyway, because this is what we said that we wanted before when they were fucking with Andrade's mask and stuff. I was like, where the fuck is LFI?
Yeah.
Well, now LFI's there. Well, the weird part is that Andrade still is not attached to them in any way, and actually had a fucking backstage interview with Renee Paquette right after that segment to talk about the CJ Perry fucking situation.
Yeah. The other interesting thing too is that it's there. I will say this: they're doing a lot more like integration of. It's kind of like the shit that we used to talk about, like where it was like, hey, why the fuck are all these people just like backstage and know each other, but they barely ever interact with each other outside of their own story arcs type stuff. And now there's a lot more. It seems like within the past month or two, a lot more of like some random person just acknowledging that the other person exists. They don't necessarily have to be involved in their program in any way, but they're like,
we're talking about like Ruby Soho and
sort of like that.
Well, they date in real life, but yeah, I get what you're saying. They have no connection whatsoever on TV, and now they've been crossing paths the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, like that's right. These are all coworkers. They will talk to each other if they see each other, and it's not. It does seem a little bit unnatural for them to never interact unless they're actually in a story program with each other or whatever. So I have liked the that they seem to be doing that a little bit more lately too, because I remember us complaining about that years ago. So like, well, why the fuck can't they ever just like, when somebody's getting beat up backstage, why does it have to be somebody that is already in that same program with them or whatever to come save them, like that kind of shit? And I do feel like there's a little bit more of that going on now, which is nice.
My last one is a twofer because I don't know if you're going to be able to come up with 4, but I just remembered that I really wanted to talk about this.
I've got one.
You got enough to do 2 more or 1 more?
I got 1 more.
Okay, then I'll just end it. Okay, well, I'll go with Santana versus Ortiz.
Fuck, that was my one.
Oh, then you can do it. Go ahead. Santana versus Ortiz. Go ahead.
I thought that the story that they told brought a lot of eyes to Rampage, aside from the people complaining that it was on Rampage because they don't fucking watch it, which is, again, stupid as shit. Like, you can't complain that it doesn't have enough good stuff that makes it worth watching and then fucking complain when they put good stuff on there that's worth watching. The match itself was really good. Obviously, the result was the right result for the story they're trying to tell. Having Ortiz...
Do you think that they go with the result where Ortiz comes out and says, hey, my shoulder wasn't down, so that they continue, or you think they just end it?
Honestly, it didn't seem like he was protesting the ending at the end or anything.
Yeah, he was just
not
more
giving the fist bump.
Did you think it was weird? Okay, that aside, because that probably wasn't supposed to happen. It just ended up being that way. I didn't know if they would just play off of it though. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, obviously, is Santana was the one that reached out his fist, which is not the way that you would think that would have gone.
Yeah,
based off the build up to the story.
You would think that it's more like, okay, like I understand that you're good enough now to go do your own thing. Let me fist bump you. That's how you would expect it to go. Not Santana being like, hey, look, I told you, I proved my point. We're good now, right? Like that was actually an interesting reversal. And Ortiz not accepting it, I thought was also interesting too, because you have to look at that like, now he's going to doubt himself. Like, oh shit, maybe I was the weakling. Maybe I was holding him back in some way. So he's not able to accept that yet. Yeah, I thought that this whole program has been really cool. If this is something that Santana wants to do and wants to go out and branch out and do his own singles thing, I feel like this whole program was a really good like launching pad to do that. I'm a little bit worried about what they do with Ortiz now, because you can't just have him chasing after Santana forever in the storyline. Maybe it gives him some sort of motivation to go and try his own singles run or something. I actually think it would be a kind of an interesting little flip of the script too, to have Ortiz come out of this like, fuck, like maybe I should be striving for more, do his own singles run, and then he actually ends up with a belt maybe before Santana does, and that causes them to meet back up at some point down the line where
Well,
Ortiz
I
is
think
actually doing
I
better.
think they're teasing. Okay, so I still want Proud and Powerful to get back together. That's topic number one. Like, let's get that out the way. I hope this all leads to them just getting back together and finally getting those fucking tag titles. But I thought it was interesting because Sanjay Dutt is the one that came out to talk to Ortiz after the match. So clearly they're going to start trying to fucking recruit him into this Jeff Jarrett fucking stable or whatever.
Right.
Now what I need is Ortiz to start thinking that he needs somebody because he's not good enough to do it on his own. And then Santana comes out and be like, don't do that shit. Do not fucking go with them. And then, you know, that leads into Santana versus that stable because they always show up on Rampage too. So that's like a stable that is on Rampage a lot. So that would make sense for this whole thing to keep playing out on Rampage.
And you could always do the spot too where it's like they're out there beating up Santana and he comes out and makes the save, but they're still not like on good enough terms to hug it out. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff they could do with this. I will say though that since
Like kind of like Shield style where Rollins and Moxley were helping each other all the time, but then they as soon as they like everybody wants them to fucking put the fists out or whatever and they won't fucking do it and they fucking leave. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So their animosity is still enough, but they still respect each other enough to not let them get their ass beat. Yeah. The only problem with that long term that I see is that if we really are trying to make a legitimate push for Santana as a singles guy, he does have to break away from the story at some point. You can't just have him always associated with his tag team partner. It wouldn't have worked if like the constant thing with Shawn Michaels was him just having over and over feuds again with Jannetty either, you know?
Which they did for a while, by the way.
They did for a while, but like at some point,
actually that would be more the reason why Majetti why oh shit Majetti Majetti couldn't break off with Shawn Michaels, so every time Majetti fought, it was a fucking thing with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
So they would push Shawn Michaels, but not Majetti, and then Majetti got lost in the shuffle, and eventually you just had to put him with somebody else when Al Snow came in as Leif Cassidy and shit like that, you know, stuff like that. And then he just couldn't get out of his own way because then it was kind of like he always lost in the big moments and stuff. He had the one short IC title reign where he surprised Michaels, but after that was over. You don't want that to happen with Ortiz either. Like Ortiz is talented as well, so like you have to view it from both sides. You don't want them to be, unless the end game is them literally getting back together.
Yeah.
Then you need to hurry up and get this done at probably Full Gear and then split off into your own ways.
And you could do that with the Jeff Jarrett stuff too. You'd have them do the same beatdown spot, have them save each other a couple times, call themselves, hey, like we're good. We're going to part on good terms now. Clearly still respect each other. We're just not the same.
What if Santana doesn't come out and help him and it's somebody like a Mark Briscoe who's also had to deal with the Jeff Jarrett family in the past, and then you could put Mark Briscoe with Ortiz as a new tag team?
They could be leaning toward that too, obviously with Jay passing, all that. It doesn't seem like they're primed to really give Mark like a big singles run. He's more of a tag guy, obviously. I could see that being the case. He did come out and do the thing with Kip Sabian. Also, Kip Sabian, another positive thing. It's so weird because some of the material they give him is such like dumb heel shit.
He buried the fuck out of that audience's sports teams. It was hilarious.
That's what I'm saying.
He just
like
kept going.
It's typical like stupid, oh, we hate your sports teams, your city bad, whatever. But the way that he does it is so.
And then he's English on top of it, so you should be the last person talking about American sports teams. Like that's already going to piss people off even more. Yeah, that's funny.
And coming out in the reverse long sleeve shirt.
Oh yeah, I told Christina I wanted one. I told Christina I wanted one. I was gonna wear it. I was like, I gotta get ripped. If I get ripped like a Sabian or a Jay White or a Finn Balor or some shit, I promise you that's what I'm wearing out. I'm wearing that, dude.
Every day, every time I go outside, I'd be in the pack fit, just showing up in my goddamn.
Your underoos.
I don't think I've ever seen Pac in real clothes except for on like Up Up Down Down and stuff. I mean, it's always
what was it? Table for Three. He was in real clothes on that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but no, it's so funny how many backstage segments and press conferences and whatever the fuck leading up to everything he would show up in just like straight up fucking ring gear. It's so funny.
All right, let me get to my last one here.
Yeah.
My last one is Speedball Mike Bailey liking my tweet yesterday. He liked my tweet because I said that they just made it real easy for me to pick my Indie Wrestler of the Year for the Monster Awards because Speedball Mike Bailey will be going one-on-one with Matt Cardona on GCW, I believe.
Also, whoever wins is who you're
So
picking.
whoever wins is going to be my Indie Wrestler of the Year because they're so fucking close. And I love that this match just came out of nowhere for to help me out. So I appreciate it. He liked the tweet. That gives him a little slight edge too. So if somehow he gets screwed over in it, I might give it to him anyway. But Matt Cardona, I believe, has won the last 2 years on our show. But yeah, if Speedball wins that match, he's getting it. I'm giving it to him. Fuck it.
What do you mean get screwed over? Matt Cardona, it's not like he would cheat in a match or anything. I mean,
yeah, okay. Well, Steph DeLander, I believe, is still, I don't know if she's still out or not, but I know she fucked her up pretty good and she was out for at least a couple weeks for sure.
I think she is still. Yeah, I didn't get a like tweet, but yeah, I will say that his star rising as much as it has over the last few years.
Well, what didn't Meltzer just give him like a 5 rating with Ospreay?
Probably, yeah.
Because we talked about it last week. Like that was the one match that and the Trinity versus Mickey James were the 2 matches you definitely need to go out of your way to watch.
5.25.
5.25 even, and I think Mike Bailey had said something about it being his first 5-star match that he knows of. He said it's pretty cool, even though he knows that people don't really, or people care about his ratings one way or the other. But he thinks it's pretty cool that he got 5.
Getting 5.25 from a match at BFG is honestly pretty cool. We're the first match in Impact to get this high of a rating since Joe AJ Daniels, which feels insane. It's all very subjective, but the hope is that people continue to pay more and more attention to TNA because we're back. So, yeah, happy for him. Good job.
So that was my last one. Let's go to our last part of the show. That is the Monster Quiz.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. I was going to do it earlier in the show, but I've got it actually as part of my Stream Deck now, so it's a lot easier. We don't have to worry about the text stuff anymore.
Yeah, just don't forget you're on a little bit of a delay, so I'm gonna have to.
No, you're good. I'm gonna read it out to you and everything. Give me a second.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
What am I looking for? I'm looking for something though. Oh, your title. Where the fuck is your title at? There it is. There it is. All right, so this is our 20th Monster Quiz.
Oh shit. Okay.
You are 13-6 right now. Here we go.
Okay.
Question number 20. CM Punk has 2 world title championships for AEW, both with 0 title defenses.
Yeah.
Which of these wrestlers have had 2 IWGP world title reigns with 0 defenses? A. Jay White, B. Scott Norton, or C. Vader? All crackers. They don't like the Gaijin very much over there, just so you know.
Well, if anything, I would imagine it was more related to injuries, right? Because they'll make you vacate if you get hurt. But I don't remember. So when you say no defenses, you mean like they didn't even lose it in a defense; it was just taken.
They lost it the next time. Yes.
Oh, like okay, so no successful defenses. Okay, I thought you meant like CM Punk, like no match. He just lost
no, just 0, just 0 on the past. You're muted. There you go.
Okay.
Say something.
Weird.
There you go. Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Yeah. You said 2 times it happened?
Correct.
Norton doesn't sound right. I'm gonna disregard that one immediately. Jay White, every time he had it, I feel like he had at least 1 defense against Okada, which is how it became such a big thing that he was like the Okada killer, fucking Jay White. Vader, I know, had a few like in the late 80s into the early 90s even, maybe. I know he had a couple reigns. He's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that definitely... No, because he had successful ones before he lost it to Choshu. Because I think he beat Riki Choshu and then had defenses and then he lost it back to him. Fuck me. It's not Norton. There's no way it's Norton. I'm trying to remember if there was any time Jay White didn't have at least one defense. Because I don't think he did. And back when Vader would have been champion, they were booking it a little bit more back and forth. And I know I keep saying there's no way it's Norton, but I keep coming back to it. I'm trying to remember. But I really don't think it's Norton. Jay White. I think even if Jay White had it happen once, there's no fucking way that they had him do that twice. I don't remember any time. If I don't remember one time that Jay White got it and then immediately fucking lost it on his first attempt, there's no way there's two. So I'm gonna say Vader.
That is correct. It is Vader.
All right.
You're now 14-6. Jay White only did it once. Scott Norton did it once.
Who
with 0 defenses.
Who did Jay White immediately lose? Was that right when he left?
I don't fucking know. I didn't look at all that. I was just looking at IWGP World Championship reigns or whatever.
Let me look.
I don't even remember why I started looking at him, honestly. Can't remember why I started looking up. I was on the Wikipedia for that, and then there's a section on Wikipedia where it has like this whole list of fucking people that had 0 title defenses or whatever. So I took everybody out of it. There's actually more people that had 0 on multiple reigns, like a Vader. But I wanted to put straight white dudes in the conversation. But Scott Norton only had it once, I believe, and he didn't have any title defenses. Jay White, they said, didn't have any title defenses on one of his defenses or one of his reigns or whatever. I don't know which one it was, or if he even had multiple
so
world title
he
defenses.
apparently he beat Tanahashi and then lost it to Okada immediately after at G1 Supercard. I don't remember that, but okay. That's interesting.
Well, there you go. You got it right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I kept thinking about the Jay White Okada stuff, and I was like, was there ever a fucking time that Okada just straight up beat him once? Because it was such a big thing at the time that Jay White had Okada's number because he kept constantly beating him every fucking time. So, yeah, I didn't think that would have been the case, but okay, cool. But I knew there was no way it was twice. There was no fucking way. I wouldn't have forgotten twice.
There we go. And I mean, and just so everybody knows, Vader had it more than those 2 times, so he actually did have some successful title defenses eventually.
Yeah.
Or sprinkled in there somewhere.
Probably in between the 2 zeros, yeah.
It was probably against other white dudes, like Stan Hansen and shit. I'm telling you, man, back in the day, they did not like the whiteys over there. I'm telling you. I promise you.
The Gaijin stuff in Japan has always been a little bit tricky in the sense that, like,
it's been a lot more forgiving for the modern shit. We've covered that before for sure. Well, that's the show today. Happy Halloween. Everybody be safe on Tuesday if you're doing anything Tuesday night. And remember, your kids are not going to get free drugs from people. No one's giving your kids free drugs. Also, don't forget, for every new subscriber for this month all the way till next week when we do our show, next week we're gonna pop the fucking 8-ball, figure out what the hell we're donating to the local humane society. You can still help out. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel for this next week, and you will help donate an item to the local humane society to help out cats, dogs, and the employees as much as we can. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. And what happens this week. There's a lot of shit going on this week. We're going to find out who MJF's 3 partners are on Dynamite to go against the Bang Bang Gang. That's going to be cool.
It's got to be the Acclaimed, right? Who the fuck else would it be?
I don't think so. I think it's either going to be the Elite, as far as I think it's going to be Omega and the Bucks, because Hangman is involved in the Swerve storyline. I think it'll be because of this newfound respect that Omega has for MJF. I think it'll be them 3. And then my second guess would actually be all 3 of the dudes that were looking backstage, because they don't want MJF to get his ass beat, because they want to beat him and take the title, because he's now the longest reigning world champion. So they want to have that claim to take the title off him. That would be Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Samoa Joe. Meat man team with MJF.
Joe did say that he would help him out in exchange for a shot. So there you go. Maybe.
So yeah, so if MJF still can't find anybody and he says, hey, I want all 3 of y'all, and I'll give you all a shot if y'all help me win my title back, type deal. If I beat Jay White at Full Gear 2, you'll all be the next ones in line. That'd be cool. But I think it's going to be Omega and the Elite, honestly.
Yeah, especially with the backstage segment with. I mean, I can see them actually putting Kenny in that. Who knows? because Kenny and Jay did have the little back and forth when they were doing the build up stuff. The same thing that Callis was trying to talk to MJF and so I mean they could do something with that too. Could be Kenny
and he did mention Jay White after when he said he used to do his dirty laundry in the thing that you were talking about with MJF and Omega after the show. So I mean the seeds are there, definitely there. So that's who I think it's going to be, but we'll see. And we'll see what they do with Sting, obviously, because, you know, we have limited time with him now, even more limited than Danielson. Danielson actually did break his orbital bone and is going under surgery. That was not part of the storyline like a lot of people thought. He really got fucked up in the face. So now it's like, damn, we even have less time with fucking Danielson. Not happy about that.
The people that thought that was fake, I was immediately just like, no, you don't sell an injury to a face. That's 100%. He just broke his fucking orbital bone. And I know this because it's the same. I've seen people get their orbital bones broken in MMA before. Like Bob Sapp famously had his broken. Like it changes the appearance of the face and like pre-swelling in a way that you're like, oh, okay, something's like definitely fucked up there. And when he was, every time he would kind of pull it away to show the doctor or whatever, I was like, that actually the shape of his face looks different. I think he actually did break his fucking orbital bone. And then with the awkwardness of the like end of the ring thing with random people just standing around, nobody really knowing like what they're doing, whatever. I was like, people kept saying, oh, you don't know, Danielson always like does end of the show wrestling injury sells, whatever. I was like, that's not, you don't sell an injury to the face. That's crazy. That's not what that is.
And you would have to get that approved anyway, because that's what they said for those new updated guidelines, and it would have made no sense to just randomly sell that because it was not part of the story leading up to the match or anything. So
yeah,
there would be no reason to get that cleared backstage. Hey, I need to sell my face at the end of this. That makes no sense with anything in the match. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the show. Thanks for watching, and you can check out short forms of this show throughout the week because I'm off this week. I'm on vacation. Like I said, my birthday's on Tuesday, Halloween. Deuces. Hope you enjoyed it.